This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
And in the shade of a tamboti thicket, this is where the lions were this morning. They're not here now. The search is on because this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
On this lovely spring afternoon, the question, of course, is where have the lions gone? Have they gone east? Have they gone south? Have they gone west? Or have they gone north? Oh, we'll just have to go and find them. But good afternoon to you all. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Dazzling Dave on camera with me, who was, of course, on camera with me this morning as well, where we were treated to some incredible scenes of tiny little lion cubs going to have their first drink of the morning. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are on a live safari experience here on Nkuhuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserves in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa. So jump on board and let us go and find those lions. I don't think they're going to be too far. There were some empty bellies this morning though, so perhaps they managed to find a meal while we were away. If you do have any questions or comments that you would like to send through, you can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. I'm about to go tumbling off the edge of a ridge. We'd prefer not to do that. And Auntie Lynn, please don't apologise. It hasn't already been asked, or at least not to me anyway, although I'm sure that lots of people are asking the same question. No. All 8 cubs, unfortunately, as far as I know when I left, were not seen this morning. So for those of you who missed out on all of the drama, this morning we were alerted to the presence of the lions by the presence of 2 cubs on our 24-hour-a-day dam camera. As we went racing out, there was absolutely no sign of them. They came in this direction, and we set off sort of naturally thinking that the rest of the adults would be with them and the rest of the pride. We happened upon the rest of the pride quite a lot further away, a bit further to the south of where we are now, with only 6 little cubs. The remaining 2, I think, have been too bold in their adventures, and they've got lost. I was relatively hopeful at the end of the sunrise safari this morning. I was certain that they were going to be reunited in the not too distant future. So now it just remains to be seen whether or not they have been. I think it's actually more common than we realize, little lion cubs getting lost. We saw it with the Styx cubs not too long ago, when they all went racing past Dave when he was off the vehicle having a little bit of a leg stretch with no adults in sight. And they very rapidly realized the error of their ways and came bounding back to the rest of the pride. And I'm hoping that our 2 missing cubs, our hapless adventurers, will do the exact same thing. Now, the herd of elephants that we were with this morning on the sunrise safari, they were clearly very nervous initially, and I think that was because they were smelling the lions constantly as they walked along this road. And they've now moved into the drainage system or into the river system where the lions were resting. And there's a very good chance that they are the reason why our lions are not still resting in the same spot they were. And just because an elephant naturally has a bit of an aversion to lions, and they tend to chase them whenever they find a reason or whenever they see lions at all. And that could well be why our lions vanished. They were also, as I said earlier, empty-bellied. You know what, Dave? It's the same log. It's the same log I did it this morning. Oh my goodness, that's shocking. I did exactly the same thing this morning, convinced I'd spotted a lion and it was a log. You can't do it two drives in a row, Jamie. That's just embarrassing. Now, while I go and search for more logs that look like lions and hopefully some actual lions alongside them, let's jump on board with James, who is just desperate to say good afternoon to you all.
I'm desperate to say hello, Brian. Are you desperate?
I'm also desperate.
Desperation. Hello, everybody. My desperation has been satiated, and I am fine now. Hello, and welcome to this end of the Madhouse Safaris that we're doing here. This is Safari Live. My name is James Hendry. On camera today is Brian. Brian, you have a plum thumb.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wonderful.
This is in, well, dedication to Geraldine Kent today, who said plum bed when she read the word plumbed. So we thought we'd do the thumb for her today. Lovely. Good. So, our plan this afternoon, those were two crested barbets, in case you're wondering. They've been very confiding, the crested barbets of late. We're going to go back towards Cheetah Plains, where I went yesterday and found one steenbok and two elephants. Hopefully there'll be a bit more going on there today. By law of averages, there possibly should be. It's hot. I know they were pumping one of the pans there, so perhaps there'll be some more elephants around today. That's the plan. We're just going to do a little sort of sojourn along the southern boundary today and see if there wasn't perhaps a crossing by the royal family, and if not, we'll just keep going towards the far east. Okay, Brian?
Okay.
That suit you?
Yes.
Good. Now, we are as live as Jamie, which means that you must please talk to us during the course of the afternoon. Hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.tv if you're emailing. It is, I'm sure as Jamie said, 34 degrees or so Celsius, 93 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. As Brian and I was just saying to each other, spring lasted 2 days. The 1st and 2nd of September were a wonderful spring, and now it is midsummer already. Apparently 39 degrees Celsius predicted for Friday. That is, I think, about 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Goodness gracious, Brian. Yes, and you will notice the same burnt-out sky that we began with yesterday, that hopefully will turn into that lovely kind of orangey sunset that we had yesterday, and I think there's sufficient smoke and dust and muck in the air at the moment for that to be the case, so that's good. Let's go and see what we can find around the corner. Oh, what I did mean to do, and I meant to pick some before I left camp, but I didn't remember. That's not surprising. I want to try and pick some knobthorn flowers. Actually the florets, not the unbloomed ones, because the monkeys were eating them with some relish today in one of the trees, and so I wonder what they taste like. I'm a bit tired of leaves, aren't you, Brian? Yes. Leaves, too tanniny. I'm surprised those lions have moved, I really am. I think it's been a really hot day. There's lots of beautiful shade where they were today, so I'm surprised they've moved off. I don't believe they should be too far from where Jamie had them this morning, but I'm sure she'll be lucky today. And as Jamie said, yes, maybe the elephants did chase them. Right, we're on to the southern boundary now. Well, just about. And we shall turn to the east. Brian, you thirsty?
I am indeed.
Yes.
Like 1,000,000 degrees out here.
It is 1,000,000 degrees. RJ, thank you, yes, very much for getting hold of us again. You, of course, yesterday said to me, very obviously, you said everything looks rather the same. Do you ever get lost? To which I replied, no, RJ, don't be ridiculous. We never ever get lost. 10 minutes later, I was on Chitwa by mistake. Lost. So, RJ, yes, if you could not do whatever you did yesterday, that would be great. I've just been reminded of that, and of course now I'm all nervous. Are you nervous, Brian?
A little bit.
A little bit, yes, you see, it's terrifying. One doesn't want to get lost. There is an animal, Brian, believe it or not. Conochates taurinus is sitting under what can only be described as a pathetic attempt at shade. There he is. Oh, he's not even alone. There's another one on the other side of the road, Brian. Hello, Mr. Blue Gnu. A veritable treat in this part of the world. Also looking pretty good. Not suffering the effects of the drought too badly, I don't think. In fact, looking pretty fat. And if you were to arrive here and go walking through this landscape, I promise you, you would think to yourself, how on earth does even one animal survive here? But they do. Brian, just to the right-hand side, the rest of his friends are. A whole herd of them, which I didn't see. I don't know if this is our herd. I refer to our herd, of course, because we had that lovely herd at the calving season last year, sort of December time, that produced, I think it was 11 youngsters, and they maintained them for a long time, mainly because the lions were just absent. And then they disappeared, all of them, adults included, and I don't know where they went. So this could be part of the same group. And as I said yesterday, and I'd love to know what those of you who like to think about these things think, I think the buffalo herds have gone beyond the point of getting big because of concentrated food and water. I think that food has become so sparse now for the buffalo herds, and perhaps also the wildebeest, that those bigger herds are now splitting up into very small splinter groups, just sort of trying to exploit the last little bits of remaining food and water. Right, we're being sandwiched here by a couple of vehicles. We're going to have to move, right? We just go a little bit around this termite mound and off the road. It is the one disadvantage of this road, is that it is the main access. That's a Mahindra, everybody. Very fine vehicle from India. That particular one in a state of some disrepair. As you can hear, coming past now, an Isuzu. Very nice. That's an Isuzu truck, Brian.
Wonderful.
Followed closely by 7 tons of dust. Right, I feel like we're sort of in the wilderness again. There's an impala also, walking through the woodland. But I had a shower before drive to look clean and sparkly for all the viewers, and now I'm covered in dust.
I'm so sorry.
It's awful.
It is awful.
Tom Cruise doesn't have to put up with this.
No.
Indeed, I heard the other day, everyone, that he recently shot a film in Namibia, and he's apparently not the easiest fellow in the world. I'm not sure that he'd cope living at the DRC. What do you think, Brian?
No.
No.
I don't think so at all.
He doesn't do communal ablution facilities. I really enjoy wildebeest, I must say, especially here, because they aren't very common, of course. And there's something very much maligned about them, and I get quite sad when people say they should be part of the ugly five, which of course was a theme that ran yesterday morning, and then we had the beautiful five yesterday afternoon. I think that they are rather magnificent creatures. And I think it's sad they don't occur in greater numbers here, and as I've said to you before, they don't occur in great numbers here because of the artificial water. Here comes the rest of the herd, Brian. I think this is our little herd, you know. Jason, you say, will these wildebeest fight for food if things got really desperate? No, I don't think they would, you know. I'm not sure that it would occur to them. I think the food would run out so slowly that I can't see them fighting over sort of an individual tuft of last remaining grass. I suppose it's possible, Jason, but I don't think they would. I'm not sure that it would happen. What they might do is fight over water. And what you will see increasingly, I think, if you keep an eye on the Jumadam Ban and the camera there, I think if we don't get rain in the next month or so, I think you'll find that the conflicts you witness there will become more and more pronounced, especially with the elephants. The elephants just will stop tolerating other animals there. And so I think that could happen. But I don't think over food, Jason. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, it's... The artificial water, of course, is great for the impala and the zebra and that sort of thing. But for wildebeest, they must move to the water and then move away from the impala and the zebra so that they can feed sort of without the superior competitive advantage that the impala and the zebra have. And that's why I don't think we're seeing them very often. They move away from the water, they'll come in quickly, have a drink, turn round, and then they can move. You see, they're beautifully adapted to going much further than those other two animals. Although zebra can kind of do both. Righty, well, I think we've done our wildebeest bit, don't you, Brian?
I do.
Excellent. Well, I think perfectly on time. Jamie would like to give you an update on her lion searching. We are going to head to the Far East and see what we can find there. Tally-ho!
Perfect timing. I can update you about my lion hunt or search. I found an elephant. It wasn't quite what I was looking for, but nevertheless equally welcome. A lovely elephant standing off in a tambuti thicket, munching away, probably part of the herd that I suspect was responsible for chasing the lions up in this direction. While you were with James continuing the great journey to the east, we've been doing a great journey around to the other side of the drainage line, or the river system, which is of course completely dry. The reason that we did that is we cannot, whilst there are guests in the camp, go over the dam wall. Can you imagine if you were busy having your lunch and all of a sudden a vehicle with a camera rocked up and started looking across in your direction? You might be terribly offended. So we will wait until the guests go out on their game drives before we move across to that particular area. But that's okay, because the search for the lions shall continue. And Ellies, have you been responsible for their disappearance? So far I've had no tracks coming out. Let's try and reposition. It's a bit of a tricky spot because it's so bright this afternoon. And hot, for those of you wondering as to the sensory update of the afternoon. It is 30 degrees centigrade, so 91 Fahrenheit. That's warm. Not quite as warm as yesterday, but it is warm. Hello guys. I'm relatively certain these are the same Ellies from this morning. There's that little calf. This morning, with our elephants, Dave and myself stayed long past the close of the sunrise safari with our lovely elephant herd, partly because I love elephants, and also because we couldn't move. The Ellies were resting. One of them had gone to sleep so close to the vehicle that I was exceptionally reluctant to switch on and make a loud noise and make them uncomfortable. And so we sat, Dave and myself, watching them feed right next to us. And one little one, about this age of this little guy, girl, this little girl. Which way are you going, big girl? Do you want me to move? No, just stretching out so her calf can suckle. The one little girl managed to get an acacia tree stuck behind her ear, which was a first for me. She was trying to feed off it and sort of swung it around, and it swung back up over her head and then hooked behind her ear, and she just couldn't get it off. It was very cute. Little calf having a late afternoon drink. You're getting a bit big for that, my girl. I'm sure Mom's milk supply is starting to run dry. This calf is nearly 3 years old. Definitely almost time to be weaned. And especially in this drought, I don't think Mom could be producing much in the way of milk. Sure. It's very, very bright this afternoon. Immediately Mom has stopped her feeding and is just standing still to let the calf have its moment. And love the trunk tucked over the top of the head, out of the way. You're still trying, girl. Obviously, the presence of the elephants... Oh! Just coat her baby with dust while she drinks. Obviously, the presence of the elephants precludes the possibility of walking in this thick area without running the risk of upsetting them. Oh, shame, look, pushing her calf away. Baby trying again. Well, this morning, whilst Dave was busy fiddling, I don't know what Dave was doing, on Wendy after the sunrise safari, and I was busy cleaning out the air filters of the engine, we heard the elephants screaming and trumpeting and sounding very, very cross. And in hindsight, that must have been when they were chasing the lions away. It must have been. It does explain why they were so upset. There's a gentle rumble there from Mom, probably talking to the little one, to say no. No more milk for you. They've taken a break from their almost constant feeding to just have a little bit of a rest in the shade. Calf looks like it's dozing off. And I mentioned that this particular little elephant calf, I said she was coming up to 3. I'm not quite right. She's under 3 years old. She's probably about 2.5 or so. And HKP, you were wondering what age elephants will suckle up to. The answer is usually about 2.5, 3. They will stop. That is when Mom is ready to fall pregnant again. And then obviously her body needs to be dedicated in terms of resources for the next calf along. But if she doesn't fall pregnant, there are cases where elephant calves have continued to suckle for a little bit longer than that, so longer than 3 years. But that's relatively unusual, and it will be situationally dependent. So in times of drought, obviously the little elephant calves, the sooner they can be weaned, the better. Look at you, little one. Yes, I would put her at about 2.5 probably. So she is still suckling but reaching the end of her time. And as we often speak about, one of the most fascinating things to witness is an elephant calf that is being weaned and that is having a tantrum about the whole process. Just like a child, they get very, very upset. And they squeal and they squawk and they make a great big racket. And the moms, that falls upon deaf ears, probably for the first time in their lives, actually, because often when a baby elephant goes prrp, Mom is immediately there to check out what is happening. And for the first time, Mom does not heed their calls, but instead just ignores them and accepts the tantrum as part of growing up. That being said, remember that an elephant calf will be capable and will be eating solid food at 6 months of age. So that's when they first start to nibble on the branches and the grasses with the intention of eating it. Because when they're younger than that, then they do put it in their mouths, but that's more a curiosity-driven thing. But at about 6 months old is when they first start to supplement their milk food with normal food. when their teeth are well enough, feet and digestive systems are well enough developed. He's got a stick. Idly fiddling, like us clicking or flicking a pen or something similar. Little baby elephant's found something to occupy herself whilst mom feeds. And she's basically almost at the point of dozing now. Just quietly taking it easy in the shade. Our elephants are under extreme pressure with this drought. And Kylinda, you were wondering, will elephants or other animals ever abandon their youngsters in extreme situations like this? I have never ever heard of an elephant abandoning its calf. I've seen and heard of situations. I've never seen it personally, thank goodness. That was seriously impressive. Could you hear that, Dave? That was an amazing rumble. Wow. That was so loud. Sorry. So yes, I have seen elephant moms. Okay, so it might have been a little bit distant for you guys to have heard, but it was that deep rumbling sound that elephants make. It was so low, it almost made my chest vibrate. Yes, yes, no. I have never heard of an elephant abandoning a calf. I've seen them stay with them. The mother particularly, the whole herd will actually stay with an ill baby elephant, or a sick baby elephant, or a starving baby elephant for a while, and then they'll leave, and they'll often leave the mom behind to wait until her baby dies before she catches up with the rest of them. So that's quite a tragic situation. Other animals, there is a good chance that they will abandon their offspring. There's even cases where leopards and lions have been known to eat their own babies when they are so lacking in resources, so lacking in nutrients that they actually can't sustain the little ones. And that makes sense, because in their mind, if they don't survive, then they will not be able to produce any offspring, whereas if they kill their offspring and eat them, then at least it provides nutrients so that they will be able to breed again when the harsh times are over. That's definitely not a very pleasant thought. I'm going to just move on. I'm going to see if there's any elephants further up the slope, because it is a very tricky position. It's very, very bright. I hear a lot of them moving off in the Mulwati drainage just to the south of me. Hello, Ellies. Did you chase the lions away? They are slowly making their way out into the open, so might play a little bit of a patience game. Let's just poke our noses round here, see if we can't figure out where the lions went, and then we'll come back to the elephants. We're not quite at that stage yet, though. The drought is bad, but it's not that bad, not just yet. And hopefully it's going to start to rain. Brian predicts early rainfall. I've said the 23rd of October will be the big rains. There we go. There's lots of elephants here. I think it's almost guaranteed that they were responsible for chasing the lions. Hello, Elise. There you go. I'm going to wait for them to make their way into this more open area and see whether or not we can figure out where those lions have gone. In the meantime, James has got one of the most attractive of antelopes.
It is a nyala, which of course is the most attractive antelope. I don't believe it is one of. I believe it to be the most. And this youngish bull, just on the sort of cusp of the prime of his life, is, well, he's finding the odd bit of forb to eat, a forb being a sort of unidentified herbaceous plant. But he won't be eating grass. And while he does that, I may sound slightly distracted. Well, it's because I am slightly distracted, Brian. Yes.
I can see.
Can you see?
I can see.
You can see, yes, but no one else can see. No, not yet. I'm just cutting I'm cutting a bulb in half to show the moisture in it. There we are. It's quite sticky, Brian. Oh. It is like an onion, of course, or as some people in the camp like to say, an onion.
Onion.
Yeah. U-N-G-Y-U-N. Onion. Yeah. Most of us an onion. Anyway, this onion-like bulb contains quite a lot of moisture in it, and what we saw today was one of the most water-independent antelope that we have here, and that is the steenbok. And the steenbokkie he had found a bulb. I don't think it was the same kind of bulb as this. It was a lot stickier than this. But he was digging it out of the ground with his little hooves. I nearly said paws, but of course steenbok don't have paws, do they? And he was eating it, and I think that they look for these bulbs. They know where to look for them. Well, not quite these bulbs, Brian. Death is nigh. It's coming down the road at a disturbing speed. Hang on 1 second. It's rocking from side to side. Take cover, everybody. That one is, I didn't catch the brand. Did you? No. No. Yes. Toyota, Louise says. Thank you, Louise. Anyway, back to the steenbok. The steenbok does not have to drink water, and one of the reasons it doesn't is that it knows where to find things like this, and it also knows which ones are toxic to it, obviously, and which ones aren't. This, if I'm not mistaken, is quite toxic to human beings. I think it's probably one of the bulbs of the tall white squill, which produces quite interesting white flowers, but I think it would be toxic to human beings. So I'm not going to ask Brian to eat it. Would you want to try it? No. Okay, good. I think it's best. Anyway, there we are. We'll scatter it to the wind. I suppose it wasn't particularly sensitive of me to destroy it, but I will say that it had been dug up already. I didn't dig it up. So I hope that you will forgive me. I've lost my knife pouch, Brian. It's a desperate time now. So I may stab my... Oh, there it is, right in front of me. Whew. I'm just trying to see exactly what that nyala is eating. Oh, you know what he's eating, Brian? He's eating the fallen leaves of this tree. Hang on, sorry, I'm throwing myself around, everybody, because I've just seen a really unusual bird fly over. I think it's going to Biffle's Hook. Oh man, it's gone. Yes, it is. It is that one. Sorry, hold on 1 sec, everyone. I'm just going to make sure before I try and tell you what it is. It's very difficult to get. I don't see them flying that high before. Can you see it, Brian? No, I mean it is leaping all over the place. I could only see it with my binoculars. It's so high now. While Brian tries to find it, let me just see if I can't find it in the book. I'm going to look on the app first, actually. Oh gosh, I've lost the name of it now. You got not. It's a I think it's a pratincoal, everybody. Now, pratincoal, the red-winged pratincoal, I've seen at Biffle's Hook once before, and that's the shape of the bird. Let me just try and find him. Not a red-winged pratincoal, sorry, a black-winged pratincoal. Let me just open him up, and I just want to check the distribution map. No. Yeah, you see, they're not supposed to occur here, but I think that, I mean, we've definitely seen them here before. Unless it was the other one, but I don't think it was the other one. 1 second, everyone. No, it was collared. It must have been a collared Pratt & Cole. Now, I'm going to show you in the book because it's going to be easier. I just want to... yeah, that's exactly what it is. It was definitely this bird, and I could see it in flight. So let me show you in the book because there won't be any glare. Collared Pratt & Cole, not common here at all. That's really quite awesome. And I'm sorry you couldn't see it, but it was impossible for Brian to get. There's the collared Pratt & Cole. It used to be called the red-winged. I'm not mad. Collared Pratt & Cole. And what I saw was that very clear sort of whiteness there underneath, and the very clear tail streamers, that forked tail at the back. And normally, when we saw them at Buffelshoek, there were a huge flock of them flying over one of the dams, catching insects, and they are, of course, migrants. So that's quite interesting. There could easily be others coming over. The collared Pratt & Cole. That is really very special to have seen. Did you get anything of it?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Not a sausage. Sorry about that, everyone. It was leaping around the place like you can't believe. Anyway, that's what it is. Collared Pratt & Cole. I bet it isn't on any of your lists. Or if it is, it won't be on many of your lists. Just going to do a little maneuver here. We're not on Cheetah Plains yet, everyone. We're still on the Gari main road, which means we can't go off-road here. But this is where Thandi was seen yesterday with her 2 little babies. Thandi, a leopard, of course. There we go, Brian. I think there are 2 more of them. No, those aren't Pratt & Coles. Those are African hawk eagles. They're on the hunt. Oh, that's exactly why those grey go-away birds started alarm calling. It's not because Thandi's there with her babies, it's because of those African hawk eagles. So they started going quack, 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 quack. So much going on. So the Nyala is eating the fallen leaves of this Balanites Mogami tree. That's what he's picking up off the ground. There we are. We've seen a rock or red-winged collared or red-winged Pratt & Cole while we've been here. 2 African hawk eagles, alarm calling grey go-away birds. It's all happening on the road to Cheetah Plains. Look how wet his nose is. He's also maintaining quite good body condition, I think. And I think these animals, sometimes it seems that their ecological niche is rather similar. That they are sort of occupying the same trophic niche. In other words, they eat the same things. But I think if you watch carefully, you'll find that not much else will be able to cope with eating a dry torchwood leaf. And there's probably some slightly different adaptation that a Nyala has to make it able to do that. Very nice. Brian, that was a lengthy Nyala sighting. Shall we continue? Yes. Goodbye, Mr. Nyala. Right, Jamie is still with her elephants. Let's go and have a look at them, and we'll see you next on Cheetah Plains.
Hello and welcome to all of you watching from Rodine, Kingsmead, St Stidians and Redhill, and to Nicole Lysos at Think Ahead. It is lovely to have you all on board with us on this live safari experience. My name is Jamie, and the gentleman behind the camera is Dave, and then there's some very fancy equipment that happens underneath at the back of our vehicle that then broadcasts up through a large white antenna that sits on the back of the vehicle, and therein lies the extent of my knowledge as to how this all works. But somehow you are watching what is happening right here in the Sabi Sand, and to be more specific, on Djuma at this particular moment, with a lovely herd of elephants wandering through. I'm not sure what the weather is like in the high veld, but here in the low veld we've already hit 33 degrees centigrade this afternoon, so a nice warm afternoon. And the poor elephants looking for whatever shade it is that they can find. Now, for all of you who are watching, please do remember that you can send through your questions, whatever you would like to know about what it is you are seeing, or perhaps other aspects of the African bushveld, then please do send those through to us. I'm sure you are aware of the critical nature of the drought at the moment, particularly in this part of the world. Up here in Limpopo and Mpumalanga, we had probably about a fifth of our average annual rainfall last year, or during our rainy season, and maybe about a quarter of that last year, or the year before. So at the moment, the bush is looking incredibly dry and depleted of nutrients. To be honest, I've actually never seen it look like this in all of my time in the bush. And the animals, like the poor elephants, are really, really struggling every day to meet their nutritional requirements. But they will be okay. We're hoping for some serious rainfall over the next few weeks. We'll have to wait and see whether or not that is the case. This is actually quite a massive elephant herd. There's a few, we've sort of got the front of it. The rest of them are more towards the drainage line or in the river system itself. Just making use of whatever vegetation is left there, and also that crucial little bit of shade. And the one thing that we do here is we do pump 2 water holes for the animals, otherwise they would have absolutely nothing to drink. We sit right on the western boundary of the Kruger National Park, where they've closed a number of water holes. So all of the animals from that area have moved through into the Sabi Sands and then into these areas. A lovely girl. Right, let us try that all again. And a very warm welcome to Nicole Lysos at Think Again, as well as to the teachers watching from Rodine, Kingsmead, St. Stithians and Red Hill. It is lovely to have you on board. I have done this entire introduction for you once already, but I'm going to do it one more time. Now, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon, behind the camera sits Dave, who's quite camera shy, so that's all you'll ever see of Dave. And then cut a long story short, we've got some very, very fancy equipment. And I've got a cold, sorry. Some very fancy equipment that allows us to broadcast live from the African bush. So we're here in the Sabi Sand, in the northern part of the Sabi Sand to be exact, on Djuma, so basically right up on the border of the Kruger National Park. And on this hot spring-summer afternoon, we're sitting with a lovely herd of elephants. Now, because this is live, it is also an interactive experience. I really hope that you are watching this time around, and if you want to, you can send through your questions to us. What do you think of that, little boy? What do you have to say for yourself? A young male coming up to say hello this afternoon. No, see, I know that you're pretending to eat and pretending to be busy because I know there's no grass there. Yes. Yes, oh, very convincing, very convincing. That whole process is known as displacement behavior. And Casey, it is lovely to hear your question. You would like to know what elephants eat. A combination of trees and grass material, although, as you know, with us being in the grips of the drought that we are in at the moment, there is very, very little grass around. So at the moment, the elephant's diet is probably 90-odd% made up of trees, and even that is limited because there's very few green-looking trees left. And then maybe a little bit more of that is bulb-based, so underground bulbs that store nutrients of the plants and a little bit of water as well as an added advantage, and then some of it might be the odd perennial plant or perennial flower, as well as grasses. Well, that is what they are feeding on at the moment. And as I mentioned earlier, they are seriously struggling in terms of meeting their nutritional needs. Our grown elephant, a big elephant bull, needs to eat somewhere in the region of 300 kilograms of food per day. Now, as you can imagine, with the lack of rain being what it is, it's very difficult for them to actually manage that. And the food that they are getting is not terribly nutritious at all. Particularly difficult for the little ones like this one. Can't quite understand why Mom's not producing the amount of milk that she might otherwise. And desperately struggling to nibble off things like potato bushes and guari bushes. The good news is, over the next 2 weeks or so, a tree called a knobthorn should start to get its fresh green spring leaves, which will, I think, provide a welcome respite for the elephants of the Greater Kruger National Park, and quite a few of the other animals as well. One thing that we do is pump 2 water holes on this reserve. Although you can't see it, we're actually, if not surrounded, then we have elephants pretty much on 3 of our 4 sides. And Debbie, you were wondering how many elephants there are in this herd. I don't know exactly. I'm going to guess at around probably close to 25 odd elephants. I've definitely counted at least 10, and I can hear a lot more of them breaking trees and branches a little bit further into the dense vegetation. There's actually quite a few here, and I think it's the same elephant herd that I encountered this morning when we did our morning safari, in which case it is probably closer to 30 odd elephants. And we had an amazing sighting this morning, didn't we, Dave?
Oh, yes.
It was lovely, with elephants feeding right up next to the vehicle. Oh, trunk full of dust there. Help to protect her skin against the blistering sun. It is 33 degrees centigrade already. I've got to hope that the rains come soon, or there's going to be very little left for these animals to eat. Oh, there you go, Anton. You were wondering what temperature it is. I have no idea what temperature it is where you are in the Highveld, and presumably not quite as warm as it is here. But it is 33 degrees centigrade. It's actually probably hotter than that in the sun. It's marginally improved from yesterday, which was 34, and it is predicted to be 37 by Friday. I'm not 100% sure what day of the week it is. I think it's a Wednesday. In 2 days' time, it is predicted to be 37 degrees centigrade. This is a young female that we've been watching. Most likely the little one that was off to the left of her is her calf, although she is very young. It would have to have been her first calf. And generally for the first few years of an elephant calf's life, it will stick around with mom for the most part, especially in tranquil moments like this where the whole elephant herd is spread out feeding. The little ones occasionally get adventurous though and go barreling about, exploring their world. There's nothing more entertaining than an elephant calf. They're so vastly intelligent, and they spend so much time exploring the world around them, touching it with their trunks, and then of course mastering the trunk, which is an art all of its own. Twisting and turning, it doesn't come straight away. It's like a child learning to write, or hold a pen and write, or perhaps ball skills and coordination. A baby elephant learning to use its trunk is much the same process. Another lovely female digging around on the side of the termite mound. That, of course, is one of the best places to go and search for food, because the termites have brought up a whole load of nutrients from deep beneath the surface of the soil. I actually wasn't planning on sitting with these elephants. I was planning on spending my afternoon with a pride of lions with 8 brand new little cubs. I say brand new, they're a couple of months old now. And we've had the incredible pleasure of getting to know them and watching them grow up over the last few months. And they were pretty much exactly here before this elephant herd came through, and I suspect they've actually chased them away While we wait for the rest of the elephant herd to get to us and perhaps improve our view slightly, not alone out here. There is a gentleman called James Hendry who is also driving out and about, probably about 20 or so kilometers from where I am now. So let's head across to him and find out what he's looking at.
Ah, that is very kind to be described as a gentleman, don't you think, Brian? Very nice indeed. Now, there's been much debate on the tweet about the origins and names of this tree, and indeed in camp we had a debate yesterday. And this tree, I agree with Judy H. Oh yes, sorry, before we get into that, 1 second. Hello everybody at St. Stithians, Rodine, Redhill and Kingsmead, the teachers thereof, including Michelle Lysos. Very good to have you with us. Sorry about not introducing my friend this tree while we were, well, when you came to join us, because I'd kind of forgotten you were with us for a second. I was so enthralled by identifying this tree. So, the tree, for those of you who don't know, is one that we have been struggling to identify for the last little while. And thanks to the help of Judy H on Twitter and a couple of others, we've decided that it is in fact Ocna natalitia, or natalitia, or natalotia, whatever you'd like to say, but that's what it is. One of the plane trees, and that's definitely, I think, what we find. And the reason we were so confused in camp about it is that it's supposed to be found on forest margins, and if you look around us right now, you will see that forests are inescapably in short supply. Now we're pulling up towards 3 in a row pan here, hoping to find some elephants. Apparently all the elephants in the Lowveld were largely on Cheetah Plains this morning. I came past here yesterday hoping to see some elephants, but alas I saw none, because I think they'd already had their drink. It's not looking good so far, is it, Brian? No. My name is James, by the way, for those of you who don't know, and Brian is on camera. That is Brian's thumb. And I'm not going to explain the origins of it again just yet, but here we are at the pan. Oh no, I'll keep that when we get home. Before we get to the pan, just to give you an idea of the dryness of this area, there's a hornbill over there, a yellow-billed hornbill, and you can just see he's sitting on the tree there obviously, but behind him and in front of him a landscape devoid of grass. And while that might look like a slightly dire situation, what you can be sure of is that underneath the soil there is an enormous number of seeds, and those seeds have been deposited over, well, millennia of being put into the soil and stamped there by animals, and so that seed bed is very rich indeed. And so all it takes is a light sprinkling of rain for the whole place to turn the colour of Ireland. It's very difficult to imagine when you look at the place now how different it can look in the summer months. Just a bit of preening going on there, of course, in the heat. And that preening absolutely crucial to flight. In exactly the same way as an aeroplane is checked every single time before it takes off, because obviously plummeting from the sky is, well, it's potentially lethal. So it is for the bird, and that is why birds must be so careful about maintaining the feathers in their wings and their tails. It's quite a nice idea just to stop and listen a bit. It's still beastly hot, and there's still a fairly hot wind blowing out of the northwest, but to listen for a little while will indicate to us if there are in fact any elephants making their way towards the pan for a drink. But all I can hear now, Brian, is the northwester. The pan is just up ahead. Let's go and have a look. I don't see a great... Oh! I'm going to stop right here. Look over there. It's a battalier, an almost adult battalier that was drinking at the pan. It's still sub-adult. It's got its almost red legs. They're orange at the moment, and it hasn't quite got its black and white coloration yet. But it heard us coming, and there it's gone. That's really, really nice. Sub-adult battalier. And look at the way he flies like the tightrope walker, balancing on the rope. That's very cool. He'll love this wind, of course. A bird like that will love a wind to just hang on in the air. Because then all the energy requirements of flight are already taken. Okay, let's go a little bit further forward. Brian, there doesn't seem to be a great gathering of animals here at the water, does there? No. Indeed, it would seem to be fairly without life. Oh well, let's go to the next waterhole. There's another one just round the corner. Well, not quite just round the corner. We'll go and see what's over there. And this scene here is not a scene of drought death. It's a sign or a site of a lion kill. It does look ominous, doesn't it, Brian? That was a wildebeest, everybody. Not alive, long since dead. Easy peasy in the United Kingdom. That is a name, everybody. Easy peasy. Not a common name, I'll grant you, but it is a name. Easy peasy. You're wondering about how long the vegetation will take, I think, to spring up after a bit of rain. What happens, easy peasy, is that you'll need a sort of, say, a minimum amount of rain, probably about 20 millimeters, which is just under an inch of rain, and that will be sufficient to create a sprouting. So you'll have all the grass, all of those seeds germinating, and all the current grass tussocks that there are here will sprout again, green grass and green leaves, and that's all it will take. And within a day or two the place will be transformed. The trees don't normally flush as a result of rain. They normally flush as a result of day length and perhaps a bit of temperature change, but it's largely a response to day length. That's certainly why the knob thorns have produced their flowers already. That's when they do it. They sense somehow a change in the day length. And so it doesn't really matter if we get rain. Well, I mean, it does. If it's a complete drought, then the trees won't have sufficient water to produce their new leaves. But in a normal year, round about now, the trees will start to bud and produce their new leaves. But the grass will only turn green after there is water on the ground. That makes sense? Easy peasy. Right, we'll head towards the clearings where we have a pan known as Cheetah Plains Pan. That's very appropriate. And we'll see what's over there. So far my luck here is holding on to exactly what it was yesterday, and that was, although all the elephants were here in the morning, they are not here anymore. We might be lucky. One of the last bits of greenery is this plant here. And Brian, would you like to hazard a guess as what it is? I fell into a natural bowl of potpourri. I could have done myself an injury, Brian. He was laughing at me. I feel like it's a sign and that I should have a smell of it. It's actually quite pleasant. Unsurprisingly, everybody, Brian, you may have a smell.
Thank you.
Don't make a mess, Brian.
You're making a big mess. You put it over your seat.
There we are. Unsurprisingly, it smells not unlike elephant dung, right? And elephant dung after a few days in the sun smells rather delicious. It's not why I got out of the car. I got out of the car to show you this. And a very effective tree is coppicing, you can see. Coppicing is what a tree does when it's been knocked over and destroyed by elephants, or perhaps even burned by fire, and it's putting up a new stem that is different from the main stem that was the tree's original. And this, of course, is the apple leaf, and it's so named because of the crunching sound it makes. Do you hear that, Brian? Do you hear that? Sounds like a not so much. Sounds like a Granny Smith being devoured, doesn't it? Yes. And just behind us there's another one, and you can see that's put up multiple new stems off the main trunk that was pushed over by some elephants. So all the trees out here, very clever, they have managed to cope or to survive and thrive in the presence of the world's possibly most important keystone species, I would say, other than the human being. And by keystone I mean, of course, that they have the ability to change the environment in which they live profoundly. On we go. Brian, why did you find it funny when I stepped in the hole?
Suddenly disappeared by about a foot.
I disappeared by a foot, and I don't have many to lose, do I? No. Oh dear. Hang on a second. My earpiece came out, everybody. Louise, you'll have to go again with that. Ah. Is that Peaky the kitten? Slightly difficult to hear. Maybe question. Okay, Kiki. Some zebra over there. Kiki the kitten, you would like to know about the flowers that we get here and which ones we get here in the spring and summer. There are probably more than 100 species of flower. Kiki, the most obvious ones would be the bright orange lion's eye, which we can show you at some stage hopefully, the lovely varying shades of purple and mauve morning glories, which are very recognizable from around the world. What else would be the most obvious ones? We get some natural plumbagos, white and blue. Yeah, many of the trees will produce flowers. This tree, for example, above us is called a shambok pod, and the shambok pod will produce lovely yellow flowers. And then, of course, you get the Scotia brachypetala, or the weeping boerbean, which produces delightful nectar-dripping red flowers. Those are the most sort of obvious ones. And these zebras deeply suspicious of what we want, so they're just going to stop there and listen and look for a little while. See what they can see. See if they can smell us or hear anything nefarious about us. And likewise, as I said with the wildebeest earlier on and many of the other animals, they're doing fine. They look healthy and fat, and with the zebra, of course, you know that because their manes are standing up straight. That's where they store the fat reserves. And so if the mane is lying down, like a horse's mane, you know they're not in a great way. Very nice. Also, if he starts to move, of course, you'll see how effective that coloration is in this kind of bland, not bland, but in this kind of, what am I looking for? Scraggly, sparse vegetation, if you like. And you'll see him, it always flickers with your eyes when he walks through the woodland. Very nice. Let us continue. Did you get anything there, Brian?
Questions?
Oh. Louise, the communications here are difficult, much static. Righty. I'm just going to drive a little bit quicker, everyone, so that we can get into those clearings. I don't think there's a great deal. Ah, buffalo! Or wildebeest. Wildebeest, our second wildebeest herd of the day. Can't believe it. Not very common here. Only about 200 in the whole Sabi Sand, 61,000 hectares or so. And we've seen at least 30 of them now. Well, this is a veritable migration. There's zebra here. Might assume that, might expect to find a Thompson's gazelle. There we are. Very nice. This is really quite unusual for this time of the year, or for any time of the year here, everyone, to have such a great agglomeration or gathering of wildebeest and zebra together. Super. They're sort of heading towards this little pan of water. And there's the zebra. Eating slightly different heights of vegetation, and of course looking out for each other, trying desperately to make sure that they avoid predators. Alright, let's go on a little bit. We'll just go into the clearings here and see what's there. Debbie, you're wondering if we've seen any chameleons yet in the evenings. Debbie, we haven't seen any chameleons yet, no. I think it might take a bit of rain before they come out. Remember, many of the animals out here, the reptiles especially, they don't hibernate, they estivate. So they're not waiting so much for the warmth as they are for water. This is a very confiding group of wildebeests. And quite pregnant. That's the second time I've done that, everybody. You, of course, can't be quite pregnant, can you, Brian?
No.
You are either or you are not. And I can just tell that because they've got big fat bellies. That's a really nice gathering of animal life. Let's go down to the water hole. Are you ready, Brian? Zebra with a cough. There's some kudu at the water. Or there's a kudu at the water. Some zebra in the distance. An impala in the distance. And yet there are no elephants in the distance, Brian. There we are. And they've just kind of started putting water back into this pan. It was very empty yesterday. You can see how nervous all the animals are to have a drink. Just in case, it's an inbuilt kind of fear that they have. Either of being taken from behind by a lion or a leopard or something like that. That's definitely what this kudu's afraid of. Or, of course, the instinctual fear of a crocodile in the water. Now, of course, unless the crocodile in this water is A, invisible, or B, a micro crocodile, it's highly unlikely that there's one there. But I think that inbuilt instinct is so very strong, trying desperately to avoid being eaten while you are having a drink. It's a particularly vulnerable time. And you can see the oxpeckers on the kudu there. And there, satisfied she is that there isn't something about to step out of the bushes to devour her. It must be a comforting thought, don't you think, Brian? Yes. Doesn't want to be eaten while one is having one's afternoon tipple of muddy buffalo dung-infested water. Kudu, rather like Steenbok, are actually fairly water independent. They don't really need to drink. They don't have to drink. They can live in really arid areas. This would be considered a kind of semi-arid area. But kudu can live in almost pure desert, where the rainfall is less than 300 millimeters a month. 300 millimeters a year. That's about 12 inches. Now, Brian, way to the far end of these clearings here, you might see two black blobs. Can you see them? They are buffalo. There we go. Some old buffalo bulls, I suspect to have spent most of the day lying in this mud and enjoying the kind of coolth of it and the ticks being removed. Sorry, Louise, I'm afraid it's really rather difficult to hear you. You say Paul's seen something at the Nkuhuma Dam pan that looks like a bag of bones. Ah, right, you see buffalo at the pan because they look like bags of bones. You feel bad for them. There are a few now starting to look a bit bone baggy, Paul. I've seen a few of them myself. But by and large, I think they've got through this really dry season preceded by a drought rather well. But there are some, yes, certainly, especially I suspect those that are carrying bovine tuberculosis. Well, most of them will be. But I think in some of them, they've just got a little bit too weak, and then I think that disease is starting to sort of really take effect. Now, I think there's an unusual bird here as well, Brian. It's a little one. But let me first see if it is something other than a garden variety sparrow. It is, Brian. Right. Do you see the blacksmith lapwing the other side there? Straight in front of that, but on this shore. So between us and them, there's a little head bobbing up and down there. Now, for those of you who are interested in birding, we did see this yesterday. There's the one that's just landed is a grey-headed sparrow. The one with the very broad white eye stripe is a yellow-throated petronia, which used to be known as a yellow-throated sparrow, and as with most bird names, it is not a particularly accurate one because they don't all have the yellow throat. So far from being called the perhaps white-browed petronia, which it should be called, it is called the yellow-throated petronia. There they are, there are two of them. They go around in pairs, and that you can still see there remaining, I think, was a grey-headed sparrow. The kudu is now drinking with great enthusiasm, as he is set upon by the red-billed oxpeckers that are eating, that are eating her ticks and other ectoparasites. Now, it is possible, of course, to see a yellow-billed oxpecker here, but it's not usual. And I'm just scanning now the woodland to see if I can't see some evidence of a large herd of elephants. Unfortunately, however, Seems to be a great dearth of the pachyderms. Ah, well. Alright, let us continue, Brian. We will see if we can find something else the other side of the clearings. Hello, Matthew in Michigan. You're wondering about the birds and the effect that the drought has had on them and whether or not our populations of birds have dropped as a result of the drought and the dry season. Matthew, I'm going to say no, I don't think so. I think as I said at the beginning, animals are used to the dry season. I think if we go into another drought time, I think over the next few months is when it's really going to tell, because we had such a very poor rainy season before this. So I think I'm going to say no, I don't think that there's been a tremendous effect on the bird life here. Are any showing signs of nutritional distress? I imagine some are, Matthew, but I don't really know how to tell if a bird is showing signs of nutritional distress. They don't they just don't get thin because their feathers cover their flesh. Ooh, there's a pipit, Brian. A pipit. You see it? A pipet. No. There we go, the grass-felt pipit. Very nice. You've got him. There he is. The quintessential LBJ. Well, while we revel in the sight and sounds of the grass-filled pipit, Jamie Patterson has got a waterbuck to show you.
An entire herd of waterbuck that is slowly but surely making its way towards the Nkuhuma Dam pan. They have, however, been distracted by something behind them. At one point they were all walking very neatly in a line and very cautiously, and it is probably for good reason, because this is where the lions were, and I don't think they've gone terribly far, and they will most definitely be on the lookout for their next meal, and a waterbuck would suit them nicely. And if not a waterbuck, then perhaps a buffalo. And there's a couple of Duggar boys, old buffalo bulls, that I've just noticed in Vuetela Dam. There's 5 of them there, and a couple of impala as well. So this is the rough equivalent of a lion banquet gathering around the Nkuhuma pan. And I have a feeling that we don't want to go too far from this particular spot this afternoon. I have a feeling that we should be sticking around this area. I know that the Nkuhumas are hungry, and I know that they're going to be hunting in the not-too-distant future. Have a look at that buffalo there. Alright, with all its oxpeckers that have just disappeared. Lots more oxpeckers than the others, and definitely not in the best of conditions. Not too bad. Not as bad. No, it's not great. Our buffalo are definitely starting to show serious signs of strain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 oxpeckers on the back of that particular buffalo bull. And Debbie, absolutely, the larger mammals do seem to be the ones suffering the most. Oh. And now? Panic! Panic! What was that all about? There's definitely nothing there. Oh, hold on. Okay. That's an impala ram. It's an impala ram causing chaos once again. And causing mass panic. The Nyala have joined in. They've all dashed away from the water's edge as well. Everybody calm down, it's okay for now, but I would suggest getting your drinking in relatively early before the lions decide to come out to play. But yes, it does make total sense that the hippo, the buffalo, the elephants, they're the ones that are showing the most sign of strain. No, there's something going on. We're missing something. impala are alarm calling. The waterbuck have turned to statues. What on earth have these impala seen that I haven't? Tax for Jamie.
Hello, Jamie.
Tex, can you see anything from your side? Or did the Marlow just get a fright?
No, I went along for until a minute. Check Opera's Road towards the Zoo Park.
Okay, copy. There must be Aubrey I'm seeing across the dam. Orbs, can you see anything from that side?
How does that for you, boy?
Okay, copy.
Confirm, Jamie, you get to spook at them because I get in Konzo here heading towards Angaskaya.
Negative. I haven't seen them. I was just wondering what the impala were frightened of, but it was the mvubu. Okay, so it was the hippo that chased the impala, not the lions.
Yeah, to the west, the visual mystic on that area. But I get to see one in Konzo and other here.
Okie dokie. Right. Well, that was quite nerve-wracking for the moment, but it was... The impala panicked, the hippo chased them away from the water. That was why they all went sprinting away, apparently, because Aubrey was sitting just there. So obviously he had a chance to see it. And I think that what the waterbuck are looking at is Rexon. That would be my guess, because Rex has just spoken to me on the Game Drive comms, and he says that he has found tracks of the lions going towards Inga's. Apparently the lions were trying to hunt impala this morning, so that might be why our impala are alarm calling and are so nervous. They've already had one failed hunting attempt, and they're not keen on a repeat of that whole process. I'm just gonna... If it were the lions, I mean, this one is still alarm calling, but it's the only one. If it were the lions, they would all be going bah, 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 making that harsh, grating sound. No, I don't think it's the lions. I think it's just instinct. It's a false alarm. Okay. They're definitely looking in this direction. Perhaps they're alarm calling at the waterbuck, because they won't be able to see them properly. Let's just watch the waterbuck for a little bit longer. I don't want to go forward and across the dam wall, just because Aubrey's guests are busy taking pictures of this particular herd of waterbuck, and I don't want to go and essentially photobomb them. So we'll just wait here for one moment, and while we do, chatting a little bit about the drought and its effects. Debbie, you were wondering if the grazers get any nutritional value from eating the dead grass. The only suggestion I have there, because no, not really, is that they are going for the growth points underneath the surface of the soil, perhaps, that might have become exposed. Or, because of course a lot of the grasses are not really completely dead. So dead grasses they wouldn't get anything from. But the grasses are not really dead, they've just gone into a stage of dormancy. So the growth points are still living, particularly close to the surface of the soil. And that will be where our bulk grazers, like things like zebra, will be able to scratch a living from. That's how they're managing to meet their nutritional requirements. A lot of the grasses are perennial rather than annual. In other words, they go into that dormancy phase during the winter months, and then as soon as the rain comes, then they spring back into life. Basically what they do is they draw the nutrients out of the blade of the grass and down towards the root systems so that they don't risk losing any extra moisture. Okie dokie. Aubrey has moved past the waterbuck, so we can go a bit closer. Whoopsie. Nearly drove off the edge again. And Liz, I also really enjoy it. So Liz is saying that she really enjoys sitting at water points because we get to sit and see and observe all kinds of interactions between the different animals. And I'm with you on that. I think especially now, because the animals really don't have anywhere else to go and get some water. They can either go to the Vuyatela pan or to the Galago pan. So this is a really, really good place to spend time hanging out. And of course Nchila has been seen a couple of times on the Djuma Dam camera, and she was here with James not terribly long ago. What on earth is wrong, Waterbuck? Shame. Unhappy. Okay, copy that, thank you. I'm on Twin Dams now. I'll come and give you a hand. Maybe go and check Ingwe. Rexon has picked up the tracks of the adult lionesses, but without the cubs, making their way towards Philemon's Dip. So at some point they definitely pulled a sneaky maneuver this morning. Despite the high temperatures, they've definitely been on the move. Liz, I'm with you. I'm going to be doing circuits of this waterhole this afternoon. I'm going to keep returning back to see what's happening here, because I think there's a very, very good chance those lions haven't gone too far. But while we continue on the search for our missing cats, let's head back to Cheetah Plains and see whether James has had any luck there.
No cheetah on Cheetah Plains, and one elephant bull, everybody, but we came around, did a loop here to find this very confiding steenbok, because the elephant bull was still in the deep bush heading towards the waterhole. So with any luck, we will get him when we come round the other side. And this is a young steenbok male, and as I was saying today, they're rather good at finding sufficient moisture in the food that they eat. And you'll be looking for corms and roots and all things that contain a bit of moisture and a bit of nutrition. And they too, I don't think, look too bad as a result of this drought. Only the beefies seem to be suffering, Brian. And the elephants. I think the elephants are looking a little bit ropey. Strange little breeze blowing, everyone. It's coming out of the north. Ooh. Some elephants shouting at each other now. Let's carry on, just round the corner here. A northeasterly breeze is not usual here. It was normally coming out of the northwest or out of the southeast. And I don't remember feeling them last year, and I wonder if La Nina, would you like to say that, Brian? La Nina. Yes, you should always say it like that, isn't creating the odd system off the shore of Mozambique, and perhaps that's coming down through here every so often, and that will bring rain. I just saw something in the clearing across there that made me think cheetah, but I don't think it was. 1 second, let me just train the binoculars. No, it's two tufts of grass of a slightly different colour, Brian.
No.
Isn't that fascinating?
No.
Not?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay, let's carry on then and see if we can't find the elephants that were shouting there. Not fascinating then. Oh, hang on. I just want you to get a view of that, if you don't mind. There are some elephants there, everybody, way in Mala Mala, but it's just quite a nice picture of them silhouetted on the edge of the waterhole that they're standing on. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Flapping their ears in the heat. And we'll try and get you a little bit closer than, what's that, Brian? About a kilometre almost.
Maybe 2.
It's quite far away. Yeah, this is a difficult time for the elephants. Tiny little one there, look at the little one. Flapping his little ears. He can hardly walk, he's so small. Born in the drought of 2016, imagine the stories he's going to have in 2076. I'll be 100 in 2076, Brian. I wonder if I'll still be driving on cheetah plains.
Probably.
I probably will, hey.
Yeah.
That elephant and I can reminisce about the times.
Senile safaris.
Senile safaris, yes, very nice, Brian. Right, come back, bring the camera back here. Let's go and see if we can find some elephants a bit closer by. Ooh. Michael, you are 13 years old and you live in Doha, and your family has very kindly booked for you a trip to the Kruger National Park. They will be accompanying you, I'm assuming, and you say the highlight of that is going to be a 2-day hike or bush wilderness trail at the from Olifant's camp in the Kruger, and you want to know what sort of clothes you should be wearing. What's the best color? Well, Michael, it's a lovely discussion, this, actually, and I'm going to do a little experiment with you. We're just going to go up here. I will talk to you about it. I'm just going to go and check that the elephants aren't at the water, and if they aren't yet, I'll show you a little experiment, and you can decide for yourself what to wear. But basically, you don't have to wear khaki, is the thing that I have to tell you. And khaki is often one of the most recognizable colors out here. I think the elephants are in this block. They haven't come out at the waterhole yet, so I think we'll do a little demonstration for Michael quickly, rather than, oh, there, the elephant is coming out. Michael, you'll have to hold on a second, but we will do your demo shortly, and then you can decide what you want to wear. Because basically, as long as it isn't bright pink or red or white, you can pretty much wear what you like. There's a young bull thinking about coming for a drink. He's watching us come up towards him now. I wonder what he was shouting at. If it was him, it may have been a herd around here. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but the light is just starting to soften. Now what I don't want to do is give him a fright, but I think we can probably get quite close to him if we just sort of sneak to the other side of the water here, and then he can decide which side he wants to drink from, or toss mud on himself from. In fact, here's the best water, everybody. The best water is here. So I'm just going to ease around to this side so that he can come to the best side without worrying about us. There we are. Young bull, just making his way on his own. He's probably about 18 or so. Yeah, he's gone straight to where the inlet is, because he knows that's where the best water is. And behind him you can hear the call of the great blacksmith lapwing. Hello, Rochelle. Difficult question to answer. You say, do elephants really remember everything? I don't know. Mainly because we're unable to speak elephant, Rochelle. So it's difficult to say. We do know that they have a very good repository of memory for places where there's good grazing. We know that they understand where water is, and we know that they pass that knowledge on to younger generations of elephants. So that's important to realize. But whether or not they remember us and as individuals, how much of their childhoods they remember, the experiences they have, we don't know. We do know that they do remember things like they do remember trauma, and they will remember being traumatized by vehicles, for example. Isn't that nice? And that's just fun for swimming. Just cooling down the body. You can hear him sucking the water there. I'm astounded that this is the only elephant here. I really am absolutely bemused. We're definitely going to do another little trip past 3 in a row pan some stage today. He's just watching us too. He's watching and thinking, what do we want? Why are we here? Now, Michael, in Doha, look at the colour of the elephant. And look at the colour of the elephant in comparison with his surroundings, and bearing in mind that you will be out here probably before the rains come. And also, I don't know how long you've been watching, but you've probably been watching since Jamie had the water buck. If you look at the water buck and you compare them with the colour of the surroundings here, which is largely grey, there's some browns, and there are a few sort of copper and orangish leaves hanging on the trees and a bit of touch of green. None of it is khaki. So Michael, I would suggest, and we will do the little experiment I was going to show you, but I would suggest you wear whatever you're comfortable in, nothing bright. So no bright blues or greens or yellows, but if they're dull colours of blue or grey, I think that's the most obvious colour to wear out here in the bush. I think it's the most well hidden. But just remember, you don't have to be hidden on your trail either. You don't have to be camouflaged from the animals. You just don't want them to see you if you happen to be sneaking up on one. And I'll show you how obvious. I'm wearing a khaki shirt, which is very much a sort of fashion statement rather than a practical thing. No idea. Dana, I'm afraid I missed your question. I think you're asking about the tails and what they're made of. Here he comes. I'm just going to lower my voice a little bit to see if we can't attract him here. What are their toenails made of? Dana, their toenails are made of keratin, same as yours and mine. And indeed the same as a rhinoceros's horn. And thankfully the toenails of an elephant have not become, people haven't decided that they are good for some whatever medicinal purposes. Same as yours and mine though, just keratin. Probably quite a lot more keratin, but it's just keratin. You can hear him sucking. He's actually sucking water out of the pipe. Like a great big straw. He doesn't feel like it's coming into this pan sufficiently fast, so he's sucking it out of the pipe. I keep expecting a whole nother herd to come wandering out of the woodland, but nothing. There we are. His ready-made straw. That is so cool. Isn't that brilliant? Hello Jan, you're wondering about whether any other animals out here are smart enough to do what this elephant's doing, drink from the sort of inlet pipe there, and you're wondering if anyone else would do that, and if clean water is that important to elephants. I'm going to answer the second part of your question first. Clean water is particularly important to elephants. They are not tolerant of dirty, fouled water, and they're especially not tolerant of it when there is clean water on the offing. So they could absolutely drink the sort of mucky stuff that is in the middle of this pan if they had to. They could drink the mucky stuff of the Nkuhuma Dam pan if they had to. But if they can get clean water, that is what they're going to go for. As for other animals, are they able to learn where water is in the same way? Yes, I think they probably are, but over a smaller distance. So, of course, elephants will move to water. They'll move massive distances between feeding grounds and water, especially in a place like Botswana, or perhaps even in sort of unfenced areas where there isn't a great deal of artificial water, like East Africa. Then I think you'll find that the elephants have to move huge distances. And I don't know that many other animals, if you separated them from water like that, would be able to find their way to it, simply because they don't have to most of the time. They live in much closer proximity. So I hope that sort of answers your question there, Dana. Oh, sorry, I missed the name. And it was Dana. No. It was Jan. There we are. I've got it. Thank you, Jan. Sorry for forgetting that. Tata, you want to know the muscles in the trunk move as they go up, as the water goes up. I don't think so. I think he probably tries to extend the trunk as far as possible so as to get as much water in there as possible. Remember, the trunk is like a concertina, so it's quite short now. Then when he stretches it down to suck out the next trunkful, it goes up a bit, gets a bit longer, and then he blows that into his mouth. I don't know if they contract. I think probably the opposite. A startling appendage the trunk is. And then PJ, I think you ought to know how long their trunks grow. Well, that one, Brian, I would say that one's trunk is probably about, there we go, just giving us a bit of a head shake. I would say that the trunk on that animal is roughly 5 feet long. Wouldn't you say, Brian? Yeah. Maybe a bit longer. Between 5 and 6 feet. So I'd say at least a foot longer on a really big bull elephant. So let's say, yeah, outside maximum 6.5 feet or so. This chap is very thirsty, of course. Now each trunkful is probably about 5 litres. That's about a gallon. It's just more than a gallon, so let's call it an even gallon. And an elephant, of course, a big elephant bull can drink more than 100 litres of water in a day. Now, that is 20 odd trunkfuls. Right, we're going to wait here with this elephant and see what he does and see if any others pop out and deign to join us here. While we do that, Jamie has got a tiny little antelope to show you.
A tiny little antelope very, very far away. Have a look at this. This is probably the best way of sitting and watching a duiker. And so if we get any closer, there's a very good chance that it's going to dash off into the drainage line vegetation. It's having a thorough snuffle around the base of a jackalberry tree. And of course the jackalberries are fruiting at the moment, which is probably the biggest reason for why it's hanging out around there. There were 2 of them. I can now only see one. I think the second one, which was a bit closer to us, decided it got a little bit uncomfortable and it ran away. Oh, and our first duiker has disappeared off. Oh, we've decided to take a chance, since I've checked everywhere, and there's no tracks of the cubs and the adult lionesses coming out of this drainage line. So they have to be somewhere in here. We are quite far south where we are now, but it's one of the few places that I can go into the drainage line itself. So we'll go and we'll check along Karula Haddon and Yarlakill, not far from where we are. And before we do that, I've just spotted somebody else who's busy enjoying the jackalberry trees. And for this little creature, we might have to go a bit closer. Oh, sorry Dave, that was a bit of a jerky pull-off. There is a vervet monkey in this jackalberry in front of us. Yes, I can see you. And I'm hoping it's going to let us get a little bit closer so that we can spend a bit of time watching it. Hello. Peeking down on us from between the leaves. Well, presumably, when there is one monkey, there must be others, but I have absolutely no idea where they are. I can only see one. But that's okay, because we've got a very interesting perspective of them. So there you go. If you look carefully, you'll be able to see the fruits that it's currently feeding off. The fruits of the jackalberry trees, those little round berries. Ah, awesome. Thank you, Dave. That'll do. That's what the monkey is busy... Oh, it's a boy. He's busy plucking off the tree. The reason I said it's a boy is relatively apparent, but it's also one of the explanations behind the Afrikaans name for the vervet monkey, which is the blauwapie. I don't think... blow, by the way, means blue, just to clarify. I'm not sure I need to explain any further, but we can safely say that this is the dominant male monkey of this particular, or at least a sexually mature male vervet monkey, which he is broadcasting with bright colours. Very bright colours. Oh, we've got an adult male. Perhaps he's on his own. It seems relatively unlikely, but it is possible. And he is having an absolute feast. This is wonderful. Reaching up, clambering on the branches. Oh! It's amazing how they know exactly which branches will bear their weight. They never seem to make a mistake. How was that one? Was that good? Yeah. Stopping to have a look at it. I just did exactly the same thing with my nachi. Or, what would you call them? Tangerine. Or a clementine. Nachi is a very South African word. You can see he's targeting the ripe fruits, so the yellow jackalberry fruits rather than the green ones. Nimbly moving from branch to branch and plucking them from the edges there. Here's a nice one. That'll do. And this must be a very welcome respite for a lot of the different animals out here. At least they can feed off the jackalberry berries. Called one of the explanations behind why the jackalberry tree is called the jackalberry is because even jackal have been known to eat the fruits. There's a nice yellow one there, look, right there, by your right shoulder, mister. There, yes, that one. Oh, well, all right then, fair enough. You missed out on a good one. I'm just telling you. It's amazing the balance and dexterity that these monkeys have. A quick and nimble leap, and off onto the next branch. Oh, there's some really nice ones there. Bright red, actually. This is wonderful. How cool is this? Oh, yum, 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 yum. I want that one, right on the edge. I wish I could climb like that. I imagine James does as well. This is so cool. Now, Daniel, you were wondering where the rest of his troop is. And I can't see them. I know that there is a troop of monkeys that lives in this particular patch of the Mulwati drainage. So they might just be out of view. Oh, there you go. Discarding the skin. Do you see that? Taking the fleshy pulp, but discarding the skin. There is one possibility, and that is that he has dispersed from his troop, and that he is in the process of attempting to join a new one. Which makes total sense, because obviously once a young male monkey reaches sexual maturity, he doesn't want to be in the same troop because he runs the risk of breeding with his mom and his sisters and his aunts and so on. So what they do is that at a certain age, they will start to disperse. And it varies from monkey to monkey. It seems to be there's a sort of a personality aspect to it as well. Some of the bolder males leave slightly younger, and some of them hang around for a couple of months, up to even a year longer. Now, it could be that this male is attempting to find himself a new troop, perhaps hanging out on the outskirts of another one's territory, and trying to make inroads very carefully. But he's got to be careful. The females of a vervet monkey troop are usually the ones responsible for chasing away outsiders. The males will join in as well, but the females can be quite savage in their treatment of new males, and it might take him a while to be accepted as a new member. So that could be one explanation as to why he is all on his own, plucking away delicately from the jackalberry fruits. He is providing us with an absolutely magical sighting, though. It's fascinating to watch. And that long, nimble tail dangling off and acting as a balance. One of those bizarre conversations that we've had before on these live safaris is the fact that if it wasn't weird, I would definitely have a tail. I mean, if it wasn't considered to be weird, I would definitely choose to have a tail. Imagine all the things you could do with it. You'd open doors, hold your cup of coffee, and use your hands for other things. Apparently it's really weird that I think that. I don't think it is. What do you think, Dave? Would you have a tail?
Sure, why not?
Exactly. Why not? I think it's just like having a useful extra limb. I can't think of... The only thing that might be a bit uncomfortable is sitting upright and driving, which is, of course, our upright stance is what lost us our tails in the first place. I think that monkey thinks I'm nuts. Anyway. And Grime and Gats, we saw the monkey abandoning the outside of the fruit, the skin of the fruit, and you were wondering if it is bitter. It's not particularly so, especially when it is a ripe fruit. The flesh of the fruit is definitely nicer though. So I guess he's just decided that it's not worth the digestive effort to try and break down the skin, rather just get to the pulp. It might just be this particular individual monkey's taste, because I've seen them put whole jackalberry fruits in their mouths and chew them and swallow them. This one just doesn't really seem to like the skin. He's like a fussy child that needs its apple peeled. He seems to prefer the fleshy bits, but I have definitely seen animals eat the skin as well, and as far as my experience is, it's not particularly bitter. Harry raises a very valid point. Yes, trousers or pants would be a bit more problematic if we had tails, but I'm relatively certain if we can broadcast live safaris from the African bush, I'm pretty sure we could solve that problem. I'm pretty sure we'd just have a little elasticated hole that it would stick out of or something. I mean, I've clearly given this far too much thought. But like a little just elasticated or button-up patch that you can curl your tail out of. And just think, people would get them all dressed up and they'd have accessories for them, like the equivalent of... Okay, no, I really am going a bit too far with this. It would be fascinating, though. He's checking to see what's frightened the Franklin. And see that change in body language? And he's not too concerned about it, whatever it was. He just wanted to make sure that it was nothing serious, like a stalking leopard. Leopards, of course, being one of the few of the cats that are agile enough to catch a monkey in a tree. So he sort of stood up there on his hind legs, peered across over the wall of the drainage line, and then decided that whatever it was of no threat to him. Oh, we're going back. There's some more nice ripe seeds there, ripe fruits. He's very, very relaxed, this particular male. The troop that lives around the Mulwati drainage is usually quite skittish. There you go. So Cat in Tampa is on the same page as I am and says that she would love to have a tail because it would be a great way of whacking flies away while she walks her dog. And there you go. See, there are so many purposes. Steph thinks I'm completely bonkers. He just gave me... I can just picture his facial expression right now if he happens to be in final control. There's going to be a raised eyebrow or two. Standing by Rexon.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in the Mulwati Vulture's Nest Junction. Sorry, where did you find them? Well done.
Tracks cut back from Flemoon's cut line. Angus, they are now back to the drainage line. If you drive between them, so I can able to direct you because I'm on the very close to Central Road, but I can see them deep in the Tambodi thicket.
Well done, Rexon. I'm on my way. We found the lions. Okay, so time to leave our gorgeous male monkey and start moving off. But just think, you know, all the things you could do with a tail. Bye-bye, Mr. Monkey. Better rush there before it gets too dark. Could hold coffee, could open a door. Might be a little bit uncomfortable sleeping with, but you'd get used to it. Could swing from it. Would help James when he climbs a tree. What else could you use it for? Okay, I'm running out of ideas now. Actually, there's another good idea that's come through from Lou. Could use it to drive. Just change gear and talk to you with my hand at the same time. There's so many different things that you could do. The one thing that it would do, though, is you'd have to learn to control your tail. Because it would be such a mood giveaway. Although I suppose human beings have learned to control their facial expressions far more so than animals do. I'm just thinking, you know, you get the thrashing tail of an angry cat. And it does take us down an interesting line of conversation, because Biagio wants to know, do different animals have tails for different reasons? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Or at least they have evolved to fit that animal's lifestyle. So an elephant doesn't really need a tail except to maybe swing at a few flies, and even then it's got a trunk to do most of its work. What's that fish eagle got? Sorry, Dave. Can you... Well done. Well done, Dave. Awesome. I think it's grass, you know. I think the fish eagle's nest building as well. Where's it going? Ah. Too far. Well done, Dave. Everybody give Dave a round of applause there. He managed to... That was awesome. Sometimes we really throw our cameraman under the bus. What's that small flying bird doing really far away? They, of course, rise admirably to the challenge. Tails, yes. So, by the way, I'm not going to the fish eagle because I want to go and see what these lions are up to, and I have a feeling it kept flying south over our southern boundary. So, tails. Leopards using them for those sharp twists and turns that they do, as well as quite a useful balancing instrument when they're up in a tree. Cheetah, something similar, but with a bit more weight towards the end, because the high-speed runs that they go on, up to 100, even 120 kilometers an hour, they use them as a rudder to help them balance. Zebra swish flies away with their tails. And all animals, of course, use their tails to... Well, it's not... I don't know that they use their tails, but their tails express their feelings. So if they're angry, or if they're submissive, or if they're dominant, it communicates that to other animals, because, of course, they don't talk. Now, apparently these lions are deep in a Tambuti thicket, so it could be rather tricky trying to get there. While I try and figure out with Rexon exactly where they are, let's go back across to James on the Great Plains of the Cheetah.
Our elephant is still here, everybody. He is, as Brian said, very clearly parched.
So parched.
So parchade. It has been quite a hot day, I must say. I'm not sure it's been quite as hot as he's making it out to be, though. I think he's just quite enjoying our company as well, don't you, Brian?
Oh, definitely.
Who can blame him? I've been sorely tempted to head off from here and go towards the 3 in a row pan, because I fear me there will be others there. But let's just have one last look at this chap. The sun is beginning its inexorable movement down to the west, Brian, which of course is very nice. Oh, Brian,
Oh.
do you see what I'm seeing?
I am. Oh, I do.
There's another elephant, everybody. It's just over there. I don't know how long it's been there. I haven't seen it before now. But it's very clearly in a state of abject relaxation because it hasn't moved. It might actually be asleep. Now, talking of sleep, there's something that I meant to address and I didn't. Of course, this information came from the wonderful research capabilities of Judy H. I said that I read the other day on a news site, very good news site, not necessarily a very good biological site, that a giraffe sleeps for only 30 minutes a day. And I was a little incredulous when I read that. Anyway, it turns out that a giraffe does only sleep for about 30 minutes a day. Normally not for more than sort of 6 or 7 minutes at a time, but it does sleep for 30 minutes a day. So that's really quite something, I think. Now, Brian, on the dashboard here is a rather interesting looking creature. Do you see it? It's this little thing here. No, don't go that way. There we are. What do you think it is? Oh, there we are. It looks like a little stingless bee, actually. That is really quite cool. I think that's what it is. I think it's a stingless bee that has got lost. And for those of you who are wondering what's happened to the stingless bees in the giraffe skull, well, we'll shortly be rediscovering them with any luck. And Jerry is saying I need to take this lonely stingless bee and reunite him with some family, perhaps in the giraffe skull. Jerry, don't be ridiculous. We all know that the cheetah plains stingless bees don't get on with the Juma stingless bees, Jerry. We all know that.
Come on, Jerry.
Alright, I think we're going to go off towards 3 in a row pan. Unless you want one more look, Brian. That is quite a pretty picture, isn't it? I might be tempted to take a photograph, Brian, and then we'll move on. There is a buffalo coming this way too. He's the slowest buffalo I've ever seen in my life. He's so depressed. Shame he isn't looking good. Look at his hips sticking out. Yeah. No, that's why he's depressed, everybody. He's depressed because I don't think he's so well. Come on, old fella, not too far from the water now. Come on, come on. That's it. Prozac available on tap here at the waterhole. Help you through the tough times. Gosh, he really does look like he's struggling. Oh, I had no idea that he was quite so skinny. I'm not sure I would have cast quite so many aspersions on him. Do you think he's charging us, Brian?
I think so. Full steam.
Do you think that's all he's got left?
I think maybe.
Oh, shame. He really doesn't look good. And he's not old, you know. That's not an old buffalo. And it's also not a buffalo bull, is it, Brian?
No, it's a cow.
It is a cow on her own. Yeah, she's not well. She's panting. It's heat that's making her pant, I think. And possibly also a bit of disease. Oh, shame. It's not nice to see. And I know many of you will be thinking, well, maybe we should help put her out of her misery, sort of thing. She might recover, you know. Doesn't look like it. But so many of the animals out here that we think are in abject sort of peril, about to die, because they couldn't possibly recover from the state that they're in. It just so often isn't like that. So we're going to wish her our best and hope that she makes it. I think she stopped actually because she's so hot.
Maybe we're in the way as
And I think we're also in the way, yeah. Chris, you are wondering if they're dangerous. In this state, actually, yes, probably they are dangerous. If they were to come across you on foot, they'd be very nervous, and so she could be dangerous on foot. Not now, no, though. She's not dangerous to us in the car. I'm going to move, everyone, because I don't think she's too keen to come too close to us. So let's just move away so that she has a free go at the water. Shame, I feel a little bit bad that I was saying nasty things about her. And I'm going to show you one more elephant over here. There he is. And I thought it was a little bit strange that this chap, our deeply thirsty fellow, was drinking on his own, and that there was nobody with him at all. But I think you'll find that these two are probably in visual and audio communication. And as always, Brian, you can see he's a male by the curvature of his tusks.
Exactly. Or the shape of his forehead.
Or the shape of his forehead, yes. The two most obvious features of his manhood. I must confess, when I see an elephant in that state, everyone, I do wonder how he doesn't do himself a serious injury. Rocky night, while we look at that elephant wandering through what is possibly a fairly vulnerable state. You say, is it true that elephants can feel the water under the ground? Absolutely they can, and there's no greater evidence than we saw on cheetah plains here not too long ago, when the pipe that feeds this very pan was pulled up out of the road by elephants, because they can feel the water moving under the ground. Either that or they can smell it, but I think they can probably feel the movement of water. I think even you could. You know, Rocky Knight, if you knew there was a pipe and you put your hand over the top of it, I think you'd be able to feel the rushing water underneath it if it was close to the surface. So yes, absolutely they can do that. But they can also do it in dry riverbeds where they dig for water. They can feel where there's water there, or smell where there is some sort of bubbling towards the surface. Yes, you see, I think that's in imminent danger of being snagged by a really large thorn. The buffalo is coming up slowly behind us, poor lady. I think we'll just move up a little bit. This elephant bull is going to double in mass if he keeps drinking like this. One hates to ask you the question, old fella, but haven't you had enough? Carol, you're wondering about how much water an elephant can have in his trunk. It's about a gallon, about 4.5 to 5 liters of water in one trunk. I mean, I imagine there's quite a lot of variation. That's wonderful. I do love an elephant shot like that, Brian. They're nice. Simple, straight on, beautiful. I'm just going to wait for this. Just going to wait for the buffalo to come here. And you'll be most pleased to know that, well, the lion cubs seem to be ready to receive you. Go and take a look.
They are ready to receive you indeed. And just have a look at this amazing work by Rexon. One tiny head peeking out at the back there with some tired lionesses. It's an incredibly difficult area here that they have disappeared into. So we were right about where they were, which is a good thing. Definitely makes me feel better about life. As for how many cubs we have here, I honestly can't tell you. I've counted 6 heads, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I cannot see at all further into behind the bushes. And we've got 2 of the older looking ones there, I think. Now hold on. Are there 3 there? No, that's just another foot. That's just a front paw that was at a strange angle. There's 2 there lying up with one of the lionesses. And then there are a couple more at the back. And unfortunately there's not much that I can do in terms of repositioning. So for those of you who've been incredibly concerned about the safety of the 2 missing cubs, I'm afraid we're going to have to wait a little bit longer with bated breath, because I don't know how many there are here. And I can't really do much in the way of repositioning. I mean, there's just piles of lions everywhere. it's almost impossible to distinguish one from the other. But aren't these just too gorgeous? And the nice thing is that we've arrived at the perfect time, because the cubs are starting to wake up. It's got a little bit cooler now, and they're going to be wandering about, playing every now and again, standing on top of Mum, and perhaps at some point relatively soon treating us to a sighting that is as spectacular as the one that we enjoyed this morning. Hello, little ones. And Zillionks, I couldn't agree more. Zillionks has said, what a time to be live, and that they can't believe that they're watching a woman sitting next to lions from the middle of the African bush in 720p. Isn't it incredible? It still blows my mind. I would love to be able to tell you how it all works, but I have absolutely no idea. I just look at animals and chat a little bit about them. Anything more than that, I couldn't begin to tell you. There's some magic that happens with technology. But personally, I once made the bold claim that it was the best use that technology had ever been put to. I think that might be pushing it a little bit. I mean, there's some very important scientific discoveries that perhaps hinged on some very crucial technology. So I won't go that far, but it is definitely one of the best uses that technology has ever been put to. And it's lovely to have you on board. I hope that you send us through your questions and your comments, and perhaps you might even find yourself something of a Safari Live addict. I know that we have a few viewers that haven't complained per se, but have certainly become avid viewers of our live safaris with all of their magical moments. And the joy of it, of course, is that it's like watching a sports game live. So yes, sometimes the animal is hidden behind the tree. It's not documentary perfect visuals, but at the same time, that is the magic of it all, because these animals are wild, doing what they do best, without in any way being impacted by us, and without us ever knowing what is going to happen. For example, these lions, about a month and a bit ago, killed a buffalo on our live safari in front of us. So absolutely anything can happen while you're watching. Why, just the other day, Dave and myself sat on a similar evening, except this time we were with leopards, 5 leopards actually, 3 adult leopards and 2 cubs, when a hyena decided to emerge onto the scene, and then all of a sudden 3 wild dogs came bolting on, just as we were about to say goodbye to everybody. So you really cannot begin to plan from one day to the next exactly what these creatures are going to do. That being said, I can tell you that the Nkuhuma lionesses are going to be very, very focused this evening. They are hungry, and they're going to be looking for dinner. And with 8 hungry mouths to feed, one can hardly blame them. Welcome to Chris, watching all the way in Finland. Chris, I think it's the first time I've ever heard your name on our live safari, so it's lovely to get your questions through. And you wanted to know how long lions live in comparison to domestic house cats. The answer is they've got shorter lifespans. It depends on if they're male or female. On average, the male's around 11 or so years old. The female's a little bit longer, sort of towards 13, 14. They can live right up to 16 or 17, and even 20 in captivity, although that's a very, very unusual situation. So it's a tough life out here, particularly for the male lions, and as a result they've got a shorter lifespan. And generally, only about 2 of those years for a male lion will be spent dominant over an area. 2 or 3 years, which means they only really have time to raise one set of cubs, or at least one generation of cubs, not one set of cubs, one generation of cubs, before it comes time for them to be replaced by a different set of males. Sorry, I'm distracted by something. I'm trying to figure it out. I think we found a banded mongoose den. If we just have a look, Dave, at the pile of scat over, not here, but if we go a little bit, I'm not sure if you can you see that pile of excrement on the termite mound wall? Yeah. There we go, and then a little bit further up you'll see some more there. And a little bit, yeah, and then if you go up a little bit, you'll see more. You'll see a big pile of it. There we go. That big pile of excrement. That's too big for a dwarf mongoose. And that's too many to be a slender mongoose. Could be a white-tailed mongoose, but that's a lot of excrement. And I have seen banded mongoose here before. I'm sorry, and this might seem a ridiculous distraction from beautiful lion cubs. But our lion cubs are fast asleep and very difficult to see, and we hardly ever get to see banded mongoose. None of it's very fresh, so I think that if it is a banded mongoose termite mound, there might be nobody there at the moment. That's affirmative, Andrew. Come north from there. Okay, our lion cubs have made life very difficult. Andrew, they're in quite a thicket here. Visuals not fantastic for now. They look like they might be stirring.
Okay, could be fine.
Okay, I'm just trying to problem solve this particular situation. I'm just trying to work out if we could squeeze under that tambuti tree. I don't think so. Not without doing ourselves some serious damage. And while I give that some thought and try and figure it out, let's go across to James for an update on his side.
Hello everybody, we just wanted to quickly show you a last glimpse of the Cheetah Plains sun. It's very beautiful, and while Jamie gets into position, we're about to leave Cheetah Plains. Went past 3 in a row pan, nothing there, very cross. Not sure why that should be the case. Anyway, we had a lovely time at the actual Cheetah Plains pan itself with our very thirsty elephant and the sad buffalo, who we left actually having a drink, so she did reach the drink. Don't know how long she'll last, but we'll see. Not much else. It doesn't seem to be a huge amount else going on between the clearings and the actual lodge itself, where the next water is, and I think that's because, well, just much of the vegetation has now been denuded from this area. As you can see, it is fairly, well, grey. Oh, you know what we should do quickly? While Jamie repositions, Michael, I just want to show you something quickly. I'm going to ask Brian to focus into this bit of woodland here, right? And what we're both going to do, Brian, is we're going to, well, you can just follow me, yeah. Just tilt slightly to the left and tilt up a bit. Right, now, come with me, Brian. What I want you to notice, Michael, is the difference. We're wearing a number of different colors here. Brian is wearing green, and I am wearing khaki and blue. And so what I'm going to do is walk down through here. Hopefully there isn't anything that's going to eat me. And what I want you to notice is which colors are the most obvious for you to see as I walk down through here. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to walk a little bit more through these bushes. And then I'm going to come back to the car via the same sort of route. Brian is going to do the same. Yes, good to see you too. Good to see you. Almost invisible there. Now look at Brian's shirt specifically, is what I think you should be looking at. Because I think that's the ultimate colour to wear out here. Look how well Brian's shirt blends in there. Yes, very nice. The green pants are not too bad, they work quite well. But I suspect what you would have noticed is that the khaki that I was wearing was actually pretty easy to see as I walked through there. And you might even find that the blue blended in even better than the khaki did. There is Brian returning now to the vehicle, pulling a silly face, which is making me laugh. Alrighty. There we go, there's the last bits of the sun going down. Well done, Brian.
Thank you.
You did an excellent job on camera there. Fantastic. So you can decide for yourself, Michael. All of the colours that we're wearing are acceptable in the bush, but I think that grey colour of Brian's t-shirt, bar the obvious bright white logo on it, was the most difficult colour to see in there. And now a 20-second silence for the sun. It's amazing how long 20 seconds can be, isn't it, Brian? Isn't that lovely, everyone? All you can hear, maybe you heard just the tiny little sound of Shivambalan, the emerald spotted wood dove going. Now, a wonderful question from an Irishman. Which, of course, just saying that makes me desperately want to try the accent, but I'm going to try and stop myself. The name of the Irishman I've forgotten. I just became so excited when I heard there was an Irishman watching us. And he... Oh, Foxhat. Foxhat is Irish. That's interesting. You say, is there anything that you can wear? You're about to go to Kenya. Anything that is going to discourage, any colour that's going to discourage the insects from having a go at you? The only colour, believe it or not, that I've seen insects attracted to are reds and oranges, because that's, of course, the colour of the flowers that they're attracted to. So I'd be careful of reds or oranges. They also are attracted to water. So if you have got wet clothes, or wet or red or orange t-shirt, fox hat, you'll find that the insects are going to try and bite you. Don't you think, Brian? I just couldn't stop myself. And I know this is probably terrible, but I just couldn't stop myself. So no orange or red shirts, especially not wet ones.
Apparently yellow too.
Yellow also. The bees love a bit of yellow. Delicious. The bees. Terrible. Now I can't stop myself, Brian. I'm just going to keep going. I know. I don't think Popeye was Irish, was he?
I don't know.
I'm unable, everyone, to speak to anyone with a strange accent and not try and put it on. I don't do very well, but I just can't stop myself. When Hayden comes out here, and Hayden Turner comes out here from Sydney, whenever he says, hello, he says, hello mate, he always, he speaks with an Australian accent. I can't help but saying, yeah, g'day, it's lovely to have you with us. And then I go, oh, no, you can't do that. And shake his hand more formally. Peter Braat, one of our directors, is Dutch, and he's got a very rich accent, lovely accent. And I keep trying to do that too. Dina, you're wondering about camouflage in the bush and whether it's a good idea to wear here, given that your wardrobe currently is bright blue and lime green. I wouldn't suggest anything bright out here, Dina. Sorry. Oh, you're worried about wearing camouflage illegally. No, Dina, it's not illegal to wear camouflage out here. You can wear camouflage if you like. I know that you've been doing some research into coming to Africa, but camouflage you can wear. You can, if you don't mind looking ridiculous. I always find that people on safari wearing camouflage, I just think it's not necessary, you know? Unless you're a sniper in the SEALs or the SAS, I feel camouflage is probably not necessary. I don't think we're going to lose signal now. Lucy, must we do a loop or shall we hand over to Jamie? Alright, Jamie's got the lions. Let's head back to them.
While James ducks through the bad signal, or the Gremlin Hollow, as Brent calls it, we've managed to shuffle ourselves around to get this stunning view that you see in front of you. Sorry everybody for the funny sounds if you are hearing them. Uh-oh, it's all gone wrong, Dave. Oh no. Oh no, Dave. It's gone terribly wrong. Okay, hold on. Sorry everybody for the sounds you are about to hear. I was trying to surreptitiously reposition my microphone in my hat, and the end result was I pulled the tip of it off completely. I don't think it's permanently broken, Dave. Does it sound good? That's because it's now sticking out from underneath my cap. It must look ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. So we're still with our lions, and they're starting to show the odd sign of stirring. And I have to confess to secretly hoping that they will actually pop out now. And the reason, of course, is so that we can do a proper head count. So what we're seeing is a couple of yawns, the odd paw lick from the adults. And that in turn, I think might mean that they're about to get up. Can you see those cubs at the back there, Dave, or are they hidden? There's two little cubs having one serious wrestle. That's too far down. Oh, there we go. Well done. You can just see them through the trees. There we go. Yes. Yes, there we go. Awesome. Well done, Dave. The two youngest cubs having a little bit of a brawl. They're so cute. Little fluff balls. And Brian in Wisconsin, while we watch our lion cubs do what lion cubs do best, which is keep each other entertained, and us as a byproduct. The reason that they're called cubs, it's one of those weird linguistic things. Brian would like to know if they're part of the cat family, why are they called cubs? And whilst they are part of the Felidae family, they are not part of the Felis genus. So the Felis genus is the one that includes the domestic cats. The genus that includes lions and leopards and mountain lions and snow leopards is called Panthera. So they are part of the Panthera genus, and all baby animals under the Panthera genus are called cubs, like tiger cubs, lion cubs, and so on. So that is the reason behind the name. It's one of those weird linguistic things. It's the same reason that we call a male elephant a bull and not, say, a tom, in the same way we would call a male cat a tom. There's curious little differences, and they try and just distinguish between the different genuses rather than families. I've had it, I'm done. When cubs had enough of that particular game. Some soft calling coming from the lionesses. Come on, girls, bring your babies out. Oh, Arcadia, look at this little one being adorable. Of course, we still don't know if the two of them made it back. You're wondering what sort of time we'd be looking at. How long would those cubs survive without their mothers? I honestly don't really know the answer to that question. I'm trying to think. Because they're little, they can't survive as long as the adults without food. You're probably looking at somewhere around a week. But I honestly don't know exactly what the answer to that is. I don't know how long it would take before a cub would die. Obviously, that depends on whether or not they encounter something like a hyena or a leopard or any predator. Got a stick. So I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I'm open to suggestions. How long would so you can't really compare them to baby kittens or puppies. The comparison doesn't really work. Provided they got to water, I would put it at somewhere around a week. Without water, not very long. A couple of days maybe. Adults, of course, could survive much, much longer without food. But a little cub of this age, they're basically helpless. Oh, here comes the little ones. Come on, let's get you out here so we can do a head count, please. The adults are definitely waking up, and the cubs are indubitably awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The anticipation is killing me. Look at these two lying on Mom's legs, battering each other. Cub pile. While the cubs keep each other occupied and while we wait for them to start moving out into the open, let's have a look at James's gorgeous sunset.
Now, we had a request from a couple of viewers that I do an American accent. Well, I can't do many, because there's many accents in America, and this is my kind of generic Southern accent, which is the easiest one for me to do while we watch the sun go down. You can see it dipping there over the Drakensberg Mountains, and I believe it will be sunk in just a few moments from now. It'll have disappeared entirely, won't it, Brian? I'm from Dalton, Georgia, the carpet capital of the world. Where are you from, Brian? Which part of the South are you from?
Just the South.
Just the South. Very nice. Birmingham, Alabama, perhaps.
Yeah.
There it goes, everyone. It's dipping down. It's all over. This day is gone. Another day tomorrow, but no more today. Hello, Cataclysm. You was asking me what is my favorite accent to do. Well, I don't know. I quite like this one, if I'm being particularly silly. But my favorite one to listen to is undoubtedly the soft Edinburgh Burrow. So were you to meet a girl in the streets and she was to talk to you in a soft Scottish accent like this, I would be overcome with emotion. I feel it's probably something to do with my ancestry, but I just find it very attractive. Right. I've got one more for you, and that is my sort of generic Hugh Laurie American accent, of course, because Hugh Laurie is not American. And so we're going to hand you back over to Jamie and the lions. I hope that they're out in the open and having a good time.
They're slightly more in the open and definitely having a good time, although perhaps not as good a time as James with his fantastic accent combinations. I'm sorry to say I only see 6. I've counted and recounted and counted again, and I can only see 6. There might be more. There might be 2 more on the other side of the lionesses, but I don't... Is that lioness licking another lioness, or is she licking a cub? I think it's the other lioness. Oh, bless you, whoever sneezed. Little cub. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I definitely only count 6 for now. There might be 2 that are just suckling, hidden behind one of the females. Hello, little monkeys. All curiosity. What you doing? Going to have a look at Andrew's guests. Perhaps attempting to be incredibly intimidating. Oh, you cheeky little creatures. They're getting to that age. That curious, cheeky age, which unfortunately may have been what led to the 2 of them disappearing in the first place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No matter which way I spin it, it doesn't look as though the 2 missing cubs have found their way back. What's interesting about this whole situation is the fact that the lionesses don't seem to be aware that they've lost 2 of them. In fact, they seem completely unaware. Honing. Oh, I got your foot. I got your foot. And farm doc? Yes, absolutely. It would be unusual statistically for all 8 cubs to survive to adulthood. You raise a good point, even though we are, as you said, rooting for the survival of the missing 2. It is something that we've always got to prepare ourselves for. Whenever we spend time with tiny little big cats, the fact that their mortality rate when they are cubs is exceptionally high, slightly lower for lions than leopards, depending on whether or not there is a pride takeover, of course, or a coalition takeover. It is slightly lower for lions because they've got the whole pride to help look after them. But yes, it would be exceptionally unusual for all cubs to survive to adulthood, or statistically unusual, not exceptionally unusual. It has happened many times before. It is the risk that we run when we sit and we spend time and we get very attached to the animals. And life is tough when you're a little lion cub, and making a mistake of running ahead of the rest of the pride could end up to be disastrous. I think by now, if the other 2 cubs were here, they would have come and joined in the game. I also really don't think that the lionesses have realized that anybody's missing. It is difficult to keep track of that many little squirming creatures. One of them's making his way to join the rest of the games. practicing stalk mode. Of course, watching them play like this for us is incredibly entertaining. For them, it's of vital importance, practicing the skills that they will need when they become adults, and perfecting that buffalo grasping technique. Got you. And also it's all fun and games until somebody starts to yowl and gets hurt. Slight overbalance there. Oh, slight overbalance from Dave too. You okay there, Dave? You're just overwhelmed by cuteness. And Town Connie, yes, I have a couple of thoughts about how they might have become separated. One is that, well, one thing that you will notice with the cubs is where one goes, the others follow. And I think what might have happened is they thought they were going in one direction, and often when cubs move with the adults, they go scampering off ahead and then go running back and scampering ahead and running back. And they might have realized that they were going in the direction of the dam and gone running towards it. Perhaps they were really thirsty and then just got separated and then panicked and couldn't find their way back and returned to, or went to known safe spots or places that they were more familiar with, or they got disoriented and just kept trying to look for Mom. Oh, it's a horrible thought, isn't it? Little cubs lost in the wilderness. There's nothing we can do, though, unfortunately. We just have to hope that tonight they hear the call of their cubs and go and find them. I was just double checking at the back there, but unfortunately not. Robin, you wanted to know if one of the trackers found the lion cubs on their travels, what would they do? Probably move away relatively quickly, because it's impossible for them to know if they've found lion cubs, lost lion cubs, or little lion cubs with adults lying up somewhere in the shade. And obviously you don't want to risk incurring the wrath of an adult lioness. And then you also run the risk of chasing them further away from where the adults are. So we could go bumbling into the bush now, we could completely not find the cubs at all, and we could drive them, our noise and our sort of searching could drive them even further away from the adults. Unfortunately, it is one of those naturally occurring incidents where there's not very much we could do. We wouldn't collect the cubs and take them back to the pride. But the chances of us stumbling upon those lost cubs is next to nothing. Oh, cute. And Deborah, our armchair traveller, good question from you, whether or not if the Birmingham boys that came through the area and they happened to encounter the lion cubs, the missing lion cubs, would they recognize them as their own? Yes, I think that they would, somehow. I think that they would recognize them. They definitely wouldn't put any, attacking quarry bushes, they definitely wouldn't put any effort into looking after them, but the little cubs might follow behind them, and as a result might actually get led back to the pride in that way, because their social instinct is so incredibly strong that in desperation they'd probably try and stay with the males. They're so close, though. That's what I can't understand. perfect from Valeria in Massachusetts. Okay, so from now on, the missing cubs have been dubbed Hansel and Gretel until we find them. So a perfect name for them. Hansel and Gretel have gone wandering off, and unfortunately didn't leave a very good trail behind them. So close to being found. I mean, this is basically where the little cubs disappeared off to this morning. The only thing I can think that they might have done is gone to ground, hiding somewhere in the drainage line. You've got a stick, little one. Is that just the best toy ever? Sticks are clearly make the best teething toys. Oh, look at those fearsome teeth. It's a bit scary, isn't it, Dave? Terrifying. Oh, so scary. Fearsome predator in action. Tearing apart the quarry bush. Oh, if they were leopard cubs, I think we'd find ourselves far less concerned. And I have to tell you, before we do get too panic-stricken, just do bear in mind that these little lion cubs were left for huge periods of time when they were first born as helpless little creatures with barely open eyes and ears for days. The mother would come back, feed them, and then leave them again in drainage lines, and they've all managed to survive. We'll just bear that in mind and remember that these little lion cubs have serious survival instincts. And Deborah, in Minnesota, would that mean that they would climb trees if they sensed danger? Probably not, but they would know enough to go run and hide, and try and hide in drainage lines and in places where they feel safe. If I had to throw a guess out there, I'd say they're either very, very close to where we are now, or they've gone to Gowrie Cut Line, to a den site that is familiar to them. Oh. Yes, you get that quarry bush. Oh, get it. You got it. I think you killed it. Well done. There's one of the youngest ones at the back. Okay, we are going to have to shift around in order to let Andrew out. Or is he coming out? You better be careful, he's being stalked by a fearsome cat. Oh, no, lost interest. Okay, we're just going to play a game of musical cars and switch around, and while we do that, we're going to send you back over to James.
What tune do you think they're playing, Brian? Ah, what tune was that, Brian?
Just
A tune, a musical number for cars, for musical cars. Okay, good. What about the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy?
Close.
Could be,
quite.
not quite. Okay, good. We're back on Juma, everybody. We haven't seen anything of too much note since then, but it has been such a glorious evening. Just watching the embers of the day slowly fading away, listening to the sounds, and now as we get close to camp, everyone, that most ultimate of comforting home smells, a wood fire burning somewhere close by, even though it isn't for the warmth, it is simply for the delicious smell of the smoke and the comfort of the fire that it brings. I'm so glad those lions have been found, but I'm really slightly worried about those two others. I mean, I don't really know how much further away they could be from the pride now, because they were at the waterhole. So unless the lionesses have just not gone to look for them, which is quite possible, they could easily just be lurking in a bush somewhere, got themselves lost, and the lionesses will go and look for them during the course of the night. Who knows? There wasn't any other kind of predator action, I don't think, at the waterhole when they came to drink, so they should be all right. Hold cross fingers, hold thumbs. Hold your thumb, Brian.
I'm holding my fingers and my thumb.
Well done. And will no doubt solve the problem. And I was expecting a great plethora of animals to have arrived on Q-teen clearings. But clearly, you know what? You know why we're not seeing so much on quarantine clearings at this time of the day at the moment? It's because there are clearings just about everywhere now, because all the leaves have fallen off the trees and there's not much sort of in the way of vegetation. I don't think animals are bothering to come up here at all to spend the night out in the open, because everything is basically out in the open. Alright everyone, that's going to be it from Brian and I. Brian, one more of that gorgeous thumb of yours. There we are, very lovely. Thank you very much for coming to Cheetah Plains with us. We had a lovely time, I hope you did too. Sorry for my accents. We'll see you tomorrow at 0600. Bye bye.
And so we get to spend the last few moments with the cubs. Sorry, and my hacking cough. Oh goodness, sorry about that.
I think Nkuhuma still with Jamie on lock.
I keep hearing rustling off in the distance, and I keep hoping that it's the cubs, but I think it's just Franklin moving about. And this patch of that they've settled in has definitely been the best place possible for the cubs. It's like a little bit of a jungle gym. Munching on sticks, or playground perhaps is a better description. Now, World is their park. Amber Eyes got up a little bit earlier while you were with James, but she's gone straight back to sleep. So for those of you who will be up all night tonight, I will not be, but those of you in different time zones, if you could keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera, hopefully at some point you will get to see the Nkuhumas on their way to go and have a drink, and hopefully... Shh, Franklin, I'm talking. Give me 1 minute. Hopefully it will be with 8 cubs, and not 6. And we'll have to wait and see what tomorrow holds, because of course now it is getting a little bit too dark. Franklin's making a terrible noise. Alright, on that note, it is time for us to say goodbye. So a big thank you to Dave and to Lou and to Kirsty in Final Control, and a big thank you to all of you watching across the globe. We'll catch up with you on the Sunrise Safari tomorrow, and I promise you the first thing we will do is head out and look for the Nkuhumas. Until then, have a wonderful day wherever you happen to find yourself, and I'll see you tomorrow.